The Brewers finished 19 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals in the NL Central. But you know the Cardinals, they're not going to stay down for long. JD Hafron, Locked On Cardinals, joins us next here on the Locked On Podcast Network.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How it ended for both teams? Well, the Brewers ended up winning the division by 5 games, by 19 over the Cardinals. But you know, it's going to be a busy offseason for the St. Louis Cardinals. Indeed, for both teams. We'll talk about the needs for both teams as well. And how does the division look going forward? The Brewers have won this division the last several years, but can they do it in 2026? And who's coming on strong? You know, the Cardinals are going to be there. My name is Chuck Freimund, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, proud host of Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. And the reason why we are is because of JD Hafron from Locked On Cardinals. He is there every day.
That's right. It was me. I did it. You're welcome, everybody.
Locked On Hafron has become the #1 podcast out there. Good. Oh, and there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
I just want to start this off on the right foot with all my Wisconsin people. Understand. Go Pack Go. I'm an owner. I'm with you on that. So don't pick on me too much after today's episode. Thank you.
No. Our baseball teams might be enemies. We're friends, and we do share the same like for the same football team. Although the fans aren't too happy with the head coach these days of the Green Bay Packers. But yeah, that'll be for Locked On Packers. JD, the off season, how's it going for you so far? Pretty quiet, and you and I haven't talked in a little bit.
Yeah, it's it's quiet across the league, really, outside of the one trade that just happened between the Angels and the Orioles. But things are going to pick up. We know how it gets when the winter meetings start to come together, and we just had the 40-man rosters and the Rule 5 protection stuff go down, and all of these things lead you into what's going to happen during the winter meetings, which take place right around like December 10th, something like that. So, but no shortage of chatter about our teams and things. I mean, you guys, when it came to that Rule 5, there was the big news was, Woodruff accepting his salary and was like, yes, I will go ahead and take that. Some people were surprised by that. Cardinals are one of those teams that everybody is kind of waiting on to make a number of different moves. We got plenty of pieces that we want to move on from, veteran pieces that some can help teams better than others. But there's definitely room for Chaim Bloom to make some noise this offseason.
And there's a lot of chatter regarding a guy who grew up in your farm system, and I think a terrific player, Donovan. A lot of teams would love to have that guy on their team. I'm going to ask you, talk about that coming up here in a little bit. First of all, the way it ended, 78-84. I know you lost those 3 games to the Cubs to finish off the season. In fact, you lost 4 in a row to finish it off. 78-84. I know we talked about this being a rebuild for the Cardinals. Is that what you about expected, though? I mean, when you see rebuild, you don't think 6 games below. You think like 16 or 26 below.
Yeah, they hate using the word rebuild because the Cardinals are not the team that's going to tank to hit rock bottom and then build it all the way back up. The idea was they were using terms like runway and a reset, if you will, because what they want to do is do what the Brewers do really, really well, is produce their own talent and develop their own stars. And instead of having to go out and overpay for guys on the free agent market, they wanted to be better at drafting, developing, and specifically in the pitching. I mean, obviously you want offensive too, but the pitching is really where they've fallen off a cliff with the development side of things. So last year it was really about offensively. They wanted guys like Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker to give him a full season. Unfortunately, Walker was hurt multiple times this season and had dismal numbers. Nolan Gorman didn't really have a place to go because of the other Nolan Arenado. Did not get traded away, which really kind of held things back because they wanted to open up some lanes on that infield for him. And when Arenado vetoed that trade to the Astros, and then they didn't find any buyers after that, they were kind of stuck with him. And they just kind of clogged things up for where Nolan Gorman could play because of Brendan Donovan being on the team as well and being the team's best second baseman. So Gorman didn't have anywhere to go. So it wasn't exactly the way they envisioned things when they were going to give him this runway, but he did get a lot of at-bats and he didn't do a whole lot with them. So people were pretty disappointed in both what Gorman and Walker brought to the table last year and what was supposed to be their year of growth. And they weren't thrilled about it.
Well, the Brewers finished 19 games over the St. Louis Cardinals, and I'll tell you what, I don't think that's ever going to happen ever again. To be honest with you, I don't see. I really don't see it. That's an anomaly there, right there. I don't see the Cardinals ever finishing that far off because you guys will be back. I'm always looking over the fence and seeing what you guys are doing. I don't care how many games out. I'm always worried about the Cardinals.
Yeah. They've had the history of being that team that's always there, and just the last couple of years, things have not gone their way. And, you would think that we've been sitting in the toilet for, a decade now, the way that the fans react to it. They're not showing up to ball games, which, is their right to not be there. But the Brewers are something that the Cardinals are striving to be like. They want to be more like Milwaukee, play that kind of brand of baseball, to develop your own talent and make smart moves. When the Brewers make a move and they trade a guy away, a big name guy, they do it with a purpose. There's a reason behind it. And so far it's worked out more times than not for Milwaukee. And I think the Cardinals want to do that because they've made a lot of mistakes with their trades, but now they got a new guy in charge in Chaim Bloom. And hopefully he's learned from those mistakes that his predecessor made and won't make them again.
Quite a different that you guys are looking over to seeing what the Milwaukee Brewers, because we've always looked over to the St. Louis Cardinals and seen, man, how can we not be more like them? They're division champs. They're going to the playoffs every year. And lately it's the Brewers that, they own this division and are going to the playoffs. But you guys have had a great history, and that's kind of refreshing to hear that a little bit. I'll be honest with you, JD.
Yeah, you guys have worked really, really hard and done some smart business. And it has shocked me that more Brewers personnel has not been filtered out to the rest of the league, where people haven't picked at your guys' rosters and your front office to try to pull things away. And we know the Cubs did it, but it really wasn't the manager. We're learning that it was such the smart thing. It's the whole organization that Milwaukee has, that you guys are together on this. You guys are in unison about it. And when Council left, you guys were like, okay, we'll move on. It's fine. We've got other great guys and great minds ready to rock, and look at you go. It's been impressive. And again, when it comes to mid to small market teams, because I would say, it's not like Milwaukee's small, but as far as going against LA and New York, we know the big dogs. There's a better way and a different way that you have to do things. And the Cardinals have learned that for a while they tried to compete with the payrolls of those guys. They were always in the top 10, but they weren't seeing the results. And they were, and then without having the player development the way that they had been used to, like they used to be one of the best farm systems in baseball. And then that really fell off. So they had to kind of reignite that and refocus everything to get back to what made the Cardinals really good before, which was what has made the Brewers so good. Is they've made some smart deals and they keep replenishing their farm system. When they do send a big guy away, they get some nice pieces back. And you guys are developing your own stars. You're great in the international market. Getting guys like Chourio, like those, they're all smart things. And I think a lot of teams that are the size of the Cardinals and the Reds and other guys in the division outside of Chicago, I think that we look at what Milwaukee has put together over the last few years, and you're like, that's how you can do it. This is how you can compete with those big guys.
Well, what happens is the regular season, we win with all these bargain basement guys, 97 wins this last year. And it's like, we're buying into it. Like, man, maybe we don't have to spend a lot of money. Maybe we don't have to go out and make those flashy moves at the trading deadline. Maybe we don't need guys like that. Maybe we don't need a 30 home run hitter. Oh, and then the playoffs come and it's like, oh, maybe we do. One of those things. But it's not, I just
and it's funny because you guys dominate the Dodgers in the regular season, and then the Dodgers, let's be honest, they got hot, they got healthy, they figured some things out, and we all knew that was the team to beat in the National League. And it's it's gonna take everything going the right way for other teams to topple those guys, because they just got so many really good players, and it's that tough rotation and stuff. Like unfortunately, it was we knew it wasn't going to be easy for Milwaukee to compete with, or anybody in the NL. To be honest, it's not just Milwaukee, but anybody to topple those guys and beat them in a playoff series. It's going to be difficult. So, the Milwaukee, pushed them and at least gave them a bigger fight than Philly or anything like that. So, I would be proud if I was the Brewers, but at the same time, I think you guys are probably sick of it. Like, you're like, no, we need more postseason victories. We need more success in the postseason. It's probably got you guys pretty frustrated, I imagine.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head right there. I mean, every year. And then same with the regular season. People are like, well, let's see what's going to happen in the postseason. I wanted to buy in. I bought in this past year, and I was like, got kicked in the teeth once again. But we move on. NL Central title first for both of our teams, both the Cardinals and the Brewers. And what are the needs for both teams? We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On Cardinals, JD Hafron. We're doing a little crossover here today, here on Locked On, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and with that first $5 bet, you're going to win yourself $300 to put in your account bonus bets. It's really easy. You're going to love the live betting too on the account. I mean, you look at their live betting. There's some places you go to, and it's really confusing with the live betting, but not with FanDuel. It's all there. So maybe you like a team that is favored by 7 to start the game, and they get out of the gate slow, and before you know it, man, it's a pick'em game. You could jump right in with their live bets, and also you can combine live bets into the same game parlay for a shot at even a bigger payout. Right now, FanDuel giving new customers again $300 in bonus bets when that first $5 bet wins. But you got to head to FanDuel.com, sign up, play your game with FanDuel. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And next week is an ideal time for all you out there because, man, it's going on. College basketball, football, NFL, it is all going on. But get in the FanDuel, visit FanDuel.com and check it out, and you'll see exactly why they're the number one sports book out there. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Locked On Cardinals, JD Hafron. We're talking about both teams here in the NL Central and the needs for both teams. The Cardinals finished at 78 and 84, 19 behind Milwaukee in the NL Central. What are you looking at here, JD? Again, we talked about how it's quiet to start this offseason, but moving forward here.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to move some pieces. And it's tough because the couple of the guys they want to move got no trade clauses, so they have the last say in this whole thing. But the idea is that Nolan Arenado has played his last game with the Cardinals, even had the little send-off at the end of the season at Busch Stadium where they pulled him off the field and he said goodbye. So it'd be really awkward if he was back again this year. Sonny Gray is a name that I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in. He's very expensive, but they're going to be shopping him. And if there's something that fits between some of these other teams that Sonny would be willing to go to, the word is he continues to want to be around the Nashville area where his family's at, which is one of the reasons why I picked St. Louis. But it seems like the Braves could be a natural fit for that. But also Wilson Contreras says he's willing to listen, although most of us think that he's going to return, that he's not really blocking anybody at first base, so it's not a need to move on from him. And then Brendan Donovan is the other big name that, as we mentioned at the top of the show, that he is getting a lot of attention for being the ultimate utility guy. He's a guy that just does everything right. He's can play a number of different positions, all 4 positions on the infield, corner, outfield positions. That he can do all of this. He's won a Gold Glove. He was a Silver Slugger finalist this year with Alec Burleson, who won the award. So these are some names that the Cardinals are looking to move and in return try to acquire young, controllable pitching. Those are the words that we're really chasing after. We're looking for young, controllable pitching to restock because, as you know, you can never have enough pitching. And if you get too much, then you use those pieces to go get other needs that you might have. So that's kind of what the Cardinals' focus is this offseason. First things first would be the Arenado trade. Got to get that out of the way, figure out how much money you have to eat, what you have left over to go spend on any sort of free agency that you want to spend it on. Will Sonny Gray get moved? Because that's a huge chunk of money. He's set to make $35 million this year. It's crazy.
Mhm.
It was part of the
That's
contract
weird.
that they
Who
signed him
that
to.
for? They did that. They signed him that. That's right. They did.
Yeah, well, what happened is that his first year he was only at 15 million, and then it went up to, it went escalated as the 3-year contract moves on. So now he's like a top 10 paid starting pitcher. The Cardinals are going to have to eat money on that one too when they decide to move him, but he's worth more as far as getting some prospects in return. I don't know what they're going to be able to get for Nolan Arenado. I assume it's going to be some sort of lottery ticket type of AA player or somebody who's dealt with injuries. I keep talking about the Grayson Rodriguez deal with the Orioles. The Cardinals would love to get a chance at somebody like that. The injuries have been a problem, but you can get Nolan Arenado. We'll eat some of that money and we'll take on him as a flyer and see if we can maybe, turn his career around. I feel like that would be something Cardinals fans would be interested in, but that's kind of their goals right now. What are the Brewers looking to add to improve an amazing team during the regular season? Obviously wasn't able to complete the goal at the end, but there's not a lot of holes for you guys to really fill. You got some good depth already at a lot of your positions and getting some guys back.
Well, I'd love to have Nolan Arenado. That's just never going to happen unless we do
You give us
trade.
the Miz, we'll give you Arenado. Let's go.
Well, that ain't happening for sure. That's not happening for sure. What does Arenado do in his contract this upcoming year?
He's still got 2 years left on his deal, which is, I think when you count what the Rockies are still paying, I think it's around like a little over 30 million over the next 2 seasons. So it's nothing outrageous in this day and age. But when you look at his offensive, like where the trajectories are going and how bad it's been the last couple seasons, the glove is still there. I still love him. Like I know that when he was gone this year and he had a couple of injuries this year, and when he was out, you really realized how freaking good Nolan Arenado is at third base. When you have a normal player over there, it's like weird because he's so good and he covers so much ground and makes life so much easier for the pitchers. Like having Arenado and Mason win on that left side of the infield and a Brendan Donovan at second, and even Contreras was really good this year over at first. Shockingly, we didn't think he was going to be that good. That was one heck of an infield that does a lot of good for pitchers who don't have a lot of swing and misses, which the Cardinals rotation had this past year. But yeah, well, we can talk. I don't think the Cardinals would mind if Nolan Arenado stayed in the division as long as he wasn't getting paid by the Cardinals anymore.
Well, JD, the Brewers do need a power bat at third base. I really do think because I think they're going to do some shuffling around in that infield. I want to see. I'd love to see a power hitting third baseman. I don't want to pay $35 million, but I know that's the price of doing.
Yeah, that's kind of the going rate if you were to go get like an Alex Bregman, but you gotta pay crazy money for that.
I mean, that's the financial game in baseball these days, where the Milwaukee Bucks can afford Giannis Antetokounmpo, but the Milwaukee Brewers can't afford a superstar like that. Yeah, they need a power bat over at third base. They did. And I think Durbin's going to get moved from third to second, and Terang's going to go to shortstop. I think that's at least what I would do. But they might need another outfielder, certainly a backup catcher. The starting rotation looks good. I mean, Brandon Woodruff picking up his qualifying offer of $22 million. That might have hurt things financially for the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers have said, "Oh yeah, we're good with it," but you got to believe it. They're like, "Oh boy, now we got to pay this guy $22 million. Hopefully he stays healthy." But power, I think they need another power bat into this lineup, and I think if they get another power bat, I do see them right now going into the offseason as a favorite. Again, both the Cubs and the Cardinals and Reds got work to do, I think, in the offseason.
Yeah, the Cubs are an interesting team because everybody keeps waiting for them to just go bonkers and go spend a ton of money. And maybe they put all their chips, Imanaga, like Woodruff, took his deal. Like he accepted his offer. So he's coming back very expensive. Will they keep Kyle Tucker? Do you think they keep Kyle Tucker, or do you think somebody else comes in and swipes him away from him.
Am I the only guy who's not enamored with that guy? If he's the number one,
I'm the same boat.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, yeah, like a couple years ago, and I know he was really good, but I'm not head over heel. I'm not paying that guy what people think he's gonna get. Like,
yeah,
no way.
JD, he's the number one free agent out there. That's it. That's the guy.
Yeah,
We're all the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. They benched him for a little bit in August. Council benched him in Chicago. We're going to get the division. I'm going to ask you. We're going to see.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he was getting booed at Wrigley. Like they didn't want anything to do with him anymore. I'd rather have Bellinger, to be honest with you. I'd rather have what his contract is probably going to be over a shorter period of time. I think the ceiling's almost as high. I'm not interested in paying a Kyle Tucker. That wouldn't be somebody I'm eyeing up if, especially with our markets. But I'm going to let somebody else make that mistake.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the rest of the division and who's catching the Brewers. Who? Oh, the Cardinals are going to be right there, I believe. The Cubs, Cincinnati, and I forget about the Pirates, but we'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We're the number one sports podcast network out there. And this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Hey, Game Time. Brewers tickets, you know about Bucks tickets, Packers tickets, Cardinals tickets. Maybe you want to go to a Blues game. Maybe you want to go to a concert in the St. Louis area or the Milwaukee area. Download the Game Time app, create an account, couple of taps, you'll get amazing deals. I got tickets to see Bryan Adams down in Chicago, pretty good, for 13th row a couple of weeks ago. I know JD probably's never even heard of Bryan Adams, but I have. That was like my prime of my life right there when I was a kid, at least. But Game Time, you get those kind of tickets on Game Time. Create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off. $70 for tickets, $20 off. And there you go. But concerts, you name it. And the tickets are always 100% authentic, delivered on time, the best price. And all the fees are included right there. So it's not like you keep going along and you get to the checkout line and you see some fee that you're not expecting. No, they don't do that to you. So download the Game Time app today. Game Time, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. Chuck Freimund and JD Hafron here on our crossover. And I don't know if you heard me in that. I don't know if you could hear me doing the read there, but I said I bought.
Oh yeah, and immediately Summer of '69 came in my head, and of course, okay. You gotta remember, I was a radio DJ. I was a music DJ guy for many years before I transitioned into the sports field. So I am very much familiar with Bryan Adams and all his ballads and the Robin Hood song. Like I respect me some Bryan Adams.
Wow. Okay. Did not. I was a little surprised. Because that was
dude, I got you.
Yeah, there we go.
The raspy Canadian Bryan Adams, man. I know who he is.
Was great. He was great. Like I saw him in Milwaukee back when I was a kid, when he was first, came up. JD, who do you see chasing the Brewers here in the division? We agree. I think right now it's their division. Other teams have got to get better. Who do you see?
Well, again, the Cubs are interesting because if they take a big swing and add some pieces, I feel like they got some nice. I mean, they were right there at the end of things with the Brewers. Like they were threatening. Here's my thing. Where is Kyle Schwarber going? Because you hear the Pirates talking about, hey, we're going to spend some money. He's not going to go to Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. They're not going to overpay, and they're not going to win the bidding war. There's talk that the Reds might go after him. He's from Middletown, Ohio, which is just outside of Cincinnati. So adding that bat to their lineup would be nice, considering all the young pitching that they got. And, they were a playoff team last year. So, Ellie De La Cruz was playing injured for most of the year. Some of us had some inside scoop that he'd been dealing with a leg injury for that back half of the year, but they never acknowledged it. Now you're hearing that, that's part of the reason why his numbers dipped in the second half. So I feel like the Reds because I always see it coming down to pitching. Like that's where I always go to, that who's got the depth, who can keep up with the big teams depth-wise. And when you look at what the Brewers have, where a healthy Woodruff, Peralta, which I believe he's not getting traded. Most people have said that's not what they're doing, unless somebody comes in with one of those, Godfather deals, which you guys couldn't refuse. So never say never, but seems like he's coming back. You've got the Miz coming back. Is Quinn Priester going to be as good as he was this past year? I don't know. But either way, solid depth. You guys got a nice rotation. I think depth-wise, I feel like the Reds are the closest thing to that when they have all their guys healthy. They got Chase Burns coming up, and they got Hunter Green, who's still there, although he's been rumored to be moved. Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott. Like, that's a very good rotation that I think is the next team, unless the Cubs make some moves. I still put the Reds as the closest ones to threatening what the Brewers are going to be in 2026. What about you?
Yeah, even though there was 3 teams from this division making the postseason, I don't look at anybody really being great. I mean, the Brewers had the 97 wins, but certainly the door is open for someone. The general managers, the owners in this division, got to look at it and say, why are the Brewers winning the division every year, right?
Well, that's what they're trying to figure out. The Cardinals are.
How are they doing it?
The Cardinals are, like I said, they're trying to follow the blueprint that you guys do. Don't overspend, make smart deals, but build your own farm system, produce your own stars. These guys like Terang coming up, making the smart deals. Remember when the Contreras deal went down and everybody's like, how did the Brewers walk away with Contreras? Just smart business decisions, and not everything works out the way you want it to. I don't think the Rhys Hoskins deal is something that you guys look fondly on in retrospect, but at the same time, you were looking for a power bat, and the hope was that he'd be okay, and it just didn't work out. But by the way, Paul Goldschmidt's out there in case you need him again this year.
Well, I liked him last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It was last year.
Last year, it was when he was a first free agent. He went to the Yankees, but I know you're a big Goldie fan. So if you need another first baseman, that you want him, he's available if you need him.
I was surprised that he was in the leadoff spot. I just don't see him as a leadoff hitter, and he was leading off for the Yankees. You guys surprised
I can't explain that. I can't explain that. I don't know why they had him there, and obviously it wasn't something that stayed that long. But I don't know. Sometimes I scratch my head at some of the decisions any managers make, even my own in St. Louis. Like, there's some you're just like, what are we doing? But I don't know. What do I know, right?
Baseball winter meetings come up right around that second week of December, shortly after Thanksgiving. And sometimes moves get made there, but all the groundwork will be laid at those meetings, and probably the GM meetings that just happened. Same thing as well, the meetings that happen out in Vegas. But I'm just curious to see what's going to happen in this division. And we both are going to keep an eye on the Cubs, right? I mean, the Cubs continue to act like a small market, right?
For whatever reason, they won't play in the big pool with guys like the Dodgers and the Mets, even though they obviously can do that. But they've also made some good deals and have brought it. Cade Horton's awesome. PCA was very, very good for a long time last year, and then he went ice cold until the end of the season. But obviously, he's a special talent in center field that's going to be there forever. I mean, I was talking to about our center fielder, Victor Scott, and he was a finalist for the Gold Glove. And I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to win one until PCA is not in this division in center field. He's just that good. So that's obviously a big piece. It's not that I want the Cubs to make big moves or anything like that to make things more difficult, but I'd be shocked if they don't do something, and if the Kyle Tucker thing doesn't work out and he ends up going someplace else, I would imagine they would chase after a few more of those big bats. I'm just not overwhelmed by this free agent class this year. There's not like a guy where I'm like, oh my God, superstar. I love me some Kyle Schwarber, don't get me wrong, but again, paying a DH, like, I
don't mind paying. I don't mind paying him, $30 million a year to just come up and hit 55 home runs. I'll do that.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know what bothers me. Maybe it's the old school mentality where I'm like, all he does is hit, though. I mean, I'd be shocked if Philly let him get away from him. I mean, it's not like they're hurting for funds either. So I would be surprised. He seems like a really good fit with that locker room and that clubhouse. And, I don't know what it's going to take for Philly to get over the hump, but I'd be shocked if Schwarber ended up going someplace else. But I don't know. I was glad when he got out of the division and the Cubs let him move. I was like, yay, because he used to just maul the Cardinals back in the day. So he's hit a couple balls that haven't landed yet off us.
Well, same here. A couple
What
of
do you think the Brewers are? What do you think the Brewers are going to do? Is there any big swings that they might take, or is there anything sneaky you think that they have that would surprise you and the fans at all?
The only thing is on the table, I guess, and the rumblings are they're going to keep him is Freddie Peralta. That's they're not going to go out and sign Bellinger or anybody, and they don't need Bellinger, but they're not going to sign any of these guys. They're going to wait for someone to drop in their lap in the offseason, like towards spring training. Somebody's looking for a job like Quintana, and that's the way they operate. Unless they get somebody through a trade, a Peralta trade, I don't see a block. But I mean, who knows? They could. If they're going to trade anybody, they'd have to make some big moves, like a trade of Contreras or stuff like that. Who knows? But they haven't made a blockbuster move like that in a while. All the trades they've made in the last few years, JD, were all expected guys who were in contract years.
Right. Yeah. The big names, the Burns and the haters. Is there any spot on the roster for the Brewers that's got some depth that you guys think you might trade from to go get guys?
No, because need all the starting pitching they can have right now. They're bullpen guys. No, there's no place. The good players around, but they're keeping the Strangs and the Freelicks and Churios and all that. They need one. They need maybe another outfielder with power. They need maybe a left fielder with some power. They need maybe a third baseman. So, they don't have a position. It's not that they can go out there and do something like that. If anything, if they acquire somebody, it's going to be because they're going to have to give somebody up for them, like a Contreras. So,
I'm more like I was surprised the Brewers stood packed at the trade deadline last year. I thought that was the team to really go and take a swing with. Like we are really freaking good, and if we can trade a couple of prospects to go get that one piece to put us over the top, maybe we can take down the Dodgers this year. So I was a little surprised that they were as quiet as they were, and I'm sure you guys were too. Like, I mean, you expected it, but at the same time, you're like, when is the team going to be at that level again? Because getting close to 100 wins, it's not normal.
No,
it's not. Nobody does that all the time.
That's the way they are in the small market. Where I'm not expecting anything, and I don't anticipate anything happening major. And even at the trading deadline, they didn't take a big swing. Then they came out right after the trading deadline and started a 14-game winning streak. So people complained when they didn't make any deals, including me. But then they came out there and were just fine. So
I guess everybody's going to point at the postseason, being like, but still, look at this. This is where we got to win the games. And it's not happening.
I know.
What in real quick, in your opinion, because I was like getting the outside take on some of this, because I always see my players here in St. Louis through my own St. Louis rosy red goggles. But what do you think somebody like Brendan Donovan is worth? Like, what do you think a team should be willing to give up to acquire somebody like that, where he's got a couple of years of control still, is the type of player he is still, but is going to be 31 by the time his contract time is up and he hits free agency? Like, what do you think he's worth?
I think he's worth 3 players, a really good prospect.
Okay.
And then 2 veterans, you might have to throw an aging veteran contract in there, but then a guy who's going to come in, a good young player who's in the prime of his career. So I think a guy from the farm system, a player who, like the Brewers had to take on Nestor Cortez, and they were never going to re-sign him, something like that. And then you're going to have to get a player who's going to be able to produce for you right now, because you're losing a player like that who's producing for you right now.
Yeah. I've been hoping. My hope is that they can grab, and if we're focused on pitching, I'm hoping that it's like you get one very young, controllable, like a 26-year-old type of guy who's ready to start now, who can fill a rotation spot. May not be like a super top prospect in somebody's rankings, but at least like top 20, who's ready to compete. And then like a double-A guy or something like that. And then if you can get that veteran as well, because they still got to fill out their rotation for this year. If they do trade Sonny Gray, they only really got like two dudes who are ready to go on opening day that people would trust. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of people think the Cardinals are going to be one of the busier teams this offseason, where I guess we've made the decision that the Brewers probably going to be pretty quiet.
You bet, but it's anything could be surprised me with the Milwaukee Brewers. Who knows? But I would lean on probably being very, very quiet. JD, have yourself a great Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you in the new year and all that, and you and I will get together and do another one of these.
Yeah, let's do it. And go Pack Go. Take down them Vikings.
I hope so. Big game coming up this weekend. JD Hafron, Packer fan, terrific host of Locked On Cardinals. My name is Chuck Freimund, host of Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network out there. Have yourself a great weekend, everybody.